Beauty around the world and in different cultures. Beauty is a personal perception. What is beautiful for one person may be ugly for another. However, certain characteristics that society in general considers attractive, desirable, and beautiful are known as beauty canon. Without much ado, we'll be checking out the beauty canon around the world and in different cultures. Before we proceed, subscribe to this channel if you are new. Turn on your post notification for more video updates. Have you met the women in Ethiopia? You might not find them desirable, but in their culture, lip deformation is considered to be an attractive signal for their men. Ride with us as we explore the different beauty around the world. Beauty. The perception of beauty differs among cultures, and of course, it changes over the years. Beauty produces a pleasure that comes from sensory manifestations and that can be felt by sight or perceived through the ears. For example, with a person who is considered attractive from the physical point of view, or when listening to a pleasant voice or music. On the other hand, smell, touch, and taste are not related to beauty. Do you know it's possible to consider some abstract and conceptual things as beautiful? A moral reflection may be highlighted as an exquisite text. What matters during this case is what's said and not how it's said. That is, beauty is not on paper or on the computer screen. Harmony is one of the most widespread canons of beauty. Humans tend to find harmony and proper proportions desirable. While beauty exists, there is an opposite balance of it, ugliness. Contrary to the feeling of perceiving a beauty, ugliness does not cause pleasure, but discontent and generates a negative perception of the object in question. On what do we base our perception of beauty? It's said that diversity enriches the world, but intolerance impoverishes it. This saying is very applicable to our perception of beauty around the world. Everything that we are not used to hearing, smelling, tasting, and above all seeing may represent something strange to our senses. But let's not forget that in other lands, we are strangers. Our ideals of beauty vary depending on where we are. We are already aware that in the West, everyone wants to be tanned, and yet in Asia, everyone uses whatever whitening product is available to fit the beauty standard. But perhaps we do not know interesting facts and practices that are common in less explored countries. You'd be surprised to know that in Myanmar, for example, hairy moles are a symbol of beauty, and even more so if their hair was long. In this same country, Myanmar, there's the Padang ethnic group, better known as the giraffe neck women. This tribe, also known as Karen or Kayam, wear neck rings that add up over the years and push the clavicles down in order to separate the cervicals and thus have an eternal neck that is a symbol of beauty. During the military-political regime of the 1990s, these women were forced to renounce their traditions so that the country was not seen as underdeveloped. Many of the women of this ethnic group emigrated to northern Thailand, knowing that over there they could survive, capitalizing on their exotic appeal in the tourism industry. Still exploring how beauty is defined in diverse cultures. In Chiang Mai, Thailand, the look of white skin persists, but many dye their hair blonde and curl it, asking for their faces to lengthen and for their cheekbones to be marked. This is indeed a paradigmatic case. For centuries now, Asian women define beauty as having a fair skin, a delicate mouth, small nose, straight black hair, and a round face. In fact, a private company, Evercare, does half a dozen cosmetic surgery operations per day in China, be it in hospitals, clinics, or even beauty centers. Although the Chinese government does not keep official statistics, the number of operations carried out last year is several millions, since even the poorest girls in rural areas are willing to invest months of salary in interventions that give their eyes a look that is more Western and less ripped. By the way, please don't do anything to your face when you grow up. You are a hottie. Let's take a sneak peek into India's culture. India, one of the largest countries in the world, with 1.3 million inhabitants, is one country with a sound cultural heritage. This multisensory country doesn't just enter through smell and taste buds. In sight, it's a festival of colors, and the Indians exude beauty. What skin color, and what incredible hair, by God. And they highlight their brunette and crown their look with those beautiful saris. The Indian women are also known for their rare accessories, the many bracelets, nose and earrings linked by a chain, hands with henna tattoos, and even the smallest ones, they delineate their eyes and draw large moles. The African continent is not left out. Africa is perhaps the continent that holds the most mysteries in relation to the culture of beauty. In Kenya, for example, there's the Maasai tribe. For their women, the more shaved their heads are, the more beautiful they are considered. Can you see? This is just the mole of the whole matter. How about Mauritania? In Mauritania, a country in West Africa, obesity is celebrated. Yes, as you heard it, We're not talking about plump women and rosy cheeks. We are talking about being obese. Obese women are highly rated to such an extent that, since they were little, they are sent to fattening camps where they consume 16,000 calories per day. In Ethiopia, women stretch their lips and place wooden or porcelain discs on it to win over their men. From girls, their mothers cut the lower lip so that little by little they can put on larger accessories and thus be more striking. Now, this might sound very weird to you, but it is what it is. That's what beauty means to the Ethiopians. Even in many African tribes, sagging breasts are a symbol of beauty and fertility. The more sagging they are, the more children they have had, and this is something beautiful and highly appreciated in their own culture. Beauty also varies by religion. Muslim women dress very covered, but it's quite surprising to find out that women in Morocco are addicted to sexy underwear, which of course is reserved only for their husbands. They also take special care of their hair. They have long, shiny hair, and they use henna to make it black and shiny. They have enviable hair, and the funny thing is that they are so covered that they don't even show it. I suppose it will also be reserved for privacy. However, in the West, many go out of their way to be blondes. And what about being covered? It's meant for the nuns. Just as the ideals are mutating on each continent, they have also varied over the years. Every culture and religion in different parts of the world celebrates beauty in their own way. Let's embrace diversity. Would you have been beautiful in the ancient times? In ancient Greece, standards of beauty were of paramount importance. Any thick-lipped and chiseled-cheeked man in ancient Greece was aware of two things: that his beauty was a blessing, and that his perfect outward appearance guarded an inner perfection. For the Greeks, a beautiful body was considered the evidence of a beautiful mind. They even had a word for it, kalos kagathos, which meant to be pleasing to the eye, and therefore to be a good person. The story was very different in the case of the female of the species. Hesiod, an 8th and 7th century BC poet, whose work was the closest the Greek had to a Bible, describes the first created woman as kalon kakon, the beautiful, malevolent thing. So being a handsome man was a good thing, but by definition, being a beautiful woman was a problem. And if this wasn't enough, beauty was frequently a competitive sport. Women with respectable behinds, broad hips, and white arms, sometimes bleached with lead makeup, were what the Greeks liked. Redheads did well too. Although later, in the Middle Ages, redheads would be despised as witches, and they still are in some countries, even today. In the case of the quintessential fatal woman, the original blonde bombshell, Helen of Troy, her power lay in the way she made men feel and do, beyond her looks. When it first appeared in Book 3 of Homer's Iliad, the elders sing, their voices rising and falling like cicadas. "Oh, what a beauty," they say. "Terrible beauty, beauty like that of a goddess." That is, the sort of presence that drives men to be distracted. The literary Helena lured the men to her bed and their respective deaths. Her beauty was an instrument of mass destruction. According to the Greeks, everything has an inherent meaning. Nothing was insignificant. This thought was also applied to the perception of beauty. Beauty was nothing but a psychosocial plot that had a lot to do with personality and divine favors. The concept of beauty in today's society. The concept of beauty in reference to people has been changing over time depending on culture, society, development, and social networks. That is why we would like to delve into what is considered beauty today in our society. On television, in movies, on catwalks, we see perfect people with a slim, tall body and perfect skin and hair. The factor that there is a beauty model, together with the factor of social pressure, have caused thousands of people to reject their appearance and as a consequence undergo cosmetic surgery processes, risking possible failures in the operation with negative consequences such as deformations and even death. In Venezuela, for example, there's a greater obsession with surgery since they find beauty as a way to escape poverty. The most alarming cases that girls and boys can suffer due to the search for the perfect body are anorexia and bulimia. The first is to stop eating, while the second to binge on food to throw it up later. These are disorders caused by the fear of being a fat person and wanting to be a thin person to fulfill the supposed perfect measures of women 90, 60, 90. Currently, with social networks, what is considered beautiful are fitness women with big asses, slim waists, and flat stomachs. Ironically, this type of beauty can only be achieved by a scalpel, wearing expensive clothes, or good makeup. This does not mean that it seems wrong for someone to do it. Each person is free to do what they want. But for us, the beauty of each person begins when they accept themselves with all their strengths and weaknesses. And it's a wrap. Have you enjoyed today's episode? Please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification bell for more timely video updates. Bye.